is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the info war. But this just broke at Infowars.com right now and PrisonPlanet.com, our mirror backup site. JP Morgan executive becomes fifth banker to die in last 2 weeks. Now, by the way, that's top bankers. I was doing some math last week on this, searching. I found like 20 bankers in the EU, England, and the U.S. that are very mysteriously falling into the water, being found dead in parking lots, shooting themselves in the heads, jumping off high-rises. Some fear spate of deaths linked to imminent financial crisis. This is very suspicious because these are all like super high level, but still comptrollers above the highest level. Looks to me like they're getting rid of where the bodies are buried ahead of something. And, of course, the criminal investigations of J.P. Morgan and the fines they and others have been paying, their chicken feed. Gerald, you've always got your ear to the ground. You're a big consultant to Washington chemical companies, you name it. I know you've been following this. How does this tie into everything? What does your nose tell you is going on here?
Well, when you look at the real numbers, you've had just in January, you had an outflow of probably about $12 billion out of the, or much more, out of the emerging markets. I mean, probably $1 trillion.
Yeah, that's what's happening in Turkey, all over the place.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in Kazakhstan yesterday, they just devalued the currency by 20%. And you don't have to be a trend forecaster or a mathematician or an economist to figure this out.
Quantify that. There's a race to devalue worldwide.
Yeah, what happens is that all of the stimulus pushed a lot of hot money into these emerging markets. It's called a carry trade. You borrow it real cheap, you bring it to another place where you're going to get a lot more for it. It's as simple as that. Now, with the tapering, that money's flowing out. But when the money flowed in, it built the economies of places like Turkey, like Brazil, like South Africa. It kept pumping up all of India. So now, as the money flows out, what they're trying to do, because their currencies are crashing, is they're raising interest rates to protect their currency. Brilliant. Now, let me get this straight. Your economy's going down. It's getting worse. Your currency's being devalued. And to save that currency, now you're going to raise interest rates to make it even more expensive to borrow. Brilliant. That'll really help the economy go way down, because that's what's happening. So now, as I mentioned, they're either devaluing or raising their interest rates. The net result is the same. Recessions turn into depressions. Now, going back to the biggest story, we just saw the dog and pony show yesterday on, you can't call her Fed chairwoman, she doesn't like that, Fed Chair Yellen at the House meeting.
That's good. Say it how she says to do it, or you're bad. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we'd call it in Italian, faccia brute, but we won't say that. I could call you that. But anyway, she went on, let me set the scene. The markets are crashing a week and a half ago, all over. The Dow, all over the world, the Asian markets, the DAX in Europe, all of them are going way, way down. Every day, every day, every day. Everyone's waiting for Friday. Now, this is a fact. Everyone was waiting for Friday to see what the job numbers would be. So the job numbers come out. The consensus on Wall Street, we're going to have 189,000 new jobs. And they got this guy over there, this shill that they're always quoting in all the newspapers everywhere, this Mark Zandi. He was up to 170,000. He comes in, the numbers come in, they're 113,000. The estimate on the street's 189,000. Zandi said when the December numbers came out at 74,000, Yeah, and anybody could look it up. It's gone. You could Google it up. And on CNBC back in December, numbers come back. Oh, these numbers, no, they're wrong. They're wrong. They're going to be readjusted. I pay no attention. They ask them, how much is the December number going to be pushed up? Oh, 200K. Okay, 200,000. So now, remember, going back to last Friday, now they readjust the December numbers. December numbers come out, they readjust them. It went from 74,000 to 75,000. Now, you look at the market, boom. When the numbers came out at 8:30, the expectations were for the market, the pre-market opening, to be down. The market opens up, and on the good news of lousy job numbers, the market pumps up and follows through a little bit on Monday, and then Yellen comes out, Yellen bloody murder, and she says that they're going to keep doing the tapering, but if things get bad, there'll be some quantitative easing. The markets shoot up more. On what? Not on the fundamentals, because here's the big lie, or I should say cover-up, that the Fed chair said. She makes a point of saying how great the number dropped from the high unemployment rate of over 10% down now to approaching 6.5. What she failed to acknowledge in all of this BS that no one called her out on was, hey, Miss Fed Chair, the reason the number went so low is because of all those people that what they do now in the USSA is once you're unemployed, once you're no longer getting benefits, once you can't find a job, you're not counted as unemployed anymore. That's why the number went down. So now, today, the markets are down, what, about 30 points as we're speaking, 36 points. There's nothing to drive the markets up. There's only pressure to drive them down. Now let's look at gold. Since the beginning of the year, gold has been steadily increasing all of the time, and now it's approaching the 1,300 mark. Now, I want to make this clear. You made it real clear when you said the markets were rigged. And what I'm leading up to is that we know the Forex market is rigged. That's the market which trades currencies. I'm not making it up. It's a fact. At the point of, by the way, they're trading each day $5.3 trillion.
Well, look at LIBOR. It just goes on and on.
LIBOR now, here's from that guy, Jim Cramer, that's always on CNBC. This was reported on Yahoo yesterday. Here's the headline, so everyone knows that I'm not making it up. Jim Cramer, yes, the market is rigged. Yes, the market is rigged. There's no doubt about it. So when I say gold is going up and the market is rigged, it is not in the best interests of the central banks that are pumping out this cheap dough to see gold prices go up. At the same time, if you go to People's Daily yesterday out of China, the report is that gold consumption in China from 2012 to 2013 increased 41%. So the rig market, the paper market that the Goldman Sachs gang, the Merrill Lynch mob, the Deutsche Bank bandits keep rigging, that's very different from the real gold
And it
market.
shows the false reality. We talked about this years ago, how they use naked shorts, all of it. They won't give Germany their gold. They trade gold in the market they don't have. India, China, they're all buying at record levels. You can't buy physical gold for what they claim spot is. The mints are running out. And meanwhile, I get emails and see comments going, thought gold was a good investment. Well, I tell people buy it at 270 and it went up to almost 2,000 and, you know, at 1,200, 1,300, whatever. I haven't sold one gold coin I bought, one silver coin I bought, because I know it's all a fraud. And regardless, it's my emergency backup. But the issue is it is rigged on every front. And when gold shot up, as you know, a few weeks ago, Gerald, suddenly the dollar started going down. But it's the seesaw, but it can't go on. It can't go on forever. And so it's just so frustrating to watch them do this.
Again, this is Jim Cramer. This is a guy that's on CNBC, weekdays, every night, and on their shows, saying that market is rigged.
Well, it's like people saying to you, Gerald, nothing ever collapsed. You were wrong. When by every real metric, they're rigging all the jobless numbers, the unemployment numbers. We're in a depression in most sectors of the economy. It's worldwide. They got like 30, 40, 50% unemployment in areas of Europe. I mean, they're doing 100% taxes in France to pay the bills. The world is going over the edge. There's riots worldwide, food riots, inflation worldwide. And they're going, no, none of that's happening. There was no collapse. Well, we're just like collapsing down to different levels and different strata towards the bottom, but undoubtedly it's happening. And then people say, Alex, where's the martial law? Well, naked body scanners, checkpoints, NSA spying, arresting people that demonstrate, Obama saying he's above the law, he's good at killing people, no-bid contracts, funding al-Qaeda. I mean, we are in a fascist system by degree, and people keep saying, well, nobody's kicked my door down. No, they just made you go from 40 hours to 30 hours under Obamacare, and you're going bankrupt. I mean, they just don't get it. That we're trying to hold back the takeover, and we've been somewhat successful, and we're here trying to hold the gate up, and they're going, there's no enemy behind that gate, as arrows shoot over the parapet at us.
Again, it's what we have right now, to me, is very reminiscent of prior to World War I. You have a lot of inept, incompetent sociopaths and psychopaths, whether they're in government or the military, that are leading the people to destruction over nothing. And, going back to the jobs. Here, Home Depot plans 80,000 new hirees. Amazon, 2,500 new workers. Okay, Home Depot, 80,000, right? Once upon a time, in America, there were these things called hardware stores, and you could own one. You had one on your block, in your neighborhood, in your village, in your town. If you lived in a city, they were all over the place, owned by individuals. Now it's controlled by the multinational. 80,000 slave-landia jobs. Oh, wow.
But it's worse than that, as you know. They cut most people from 40 to 20 hours, not just 30, and then they went out and hired other people, so it's all part-time like Walmart now, because they said we want to keep our workers at the level to get welfare to supplement their job here. Walmart's on record, so that's not 80,000 new jobs.
Exactly. And then you have Amazon, so all you young boys and girls out there that want to get a college degree, a BA or a BS, you could get one in packing and shipping, because those are the kind of jobs.
Except they're putting robots in now to replace them.
Now, this is from CNBC today, just to show you how far out of touch everybody is. This is the headline. Luxury CEO, the poor should stop whining. Now, this is from Bud Kohnheim, who is the head of Nicole Miller, which is a luxury fashion product. They sell luxury fashion shop. He said, we've got a country that the poverty level is wealth in 99% of the rest of the world. So we're talking about woe is me, woe is us, woe is this. The guy that's making, oh my God, he's making $35,000 a year. Why don't we try that out in India or some countries we can't even name? China, any place. The guy is wealthy. That's how out of touch they are.
Yeah, their new argument is, but the cost of living here is a lot more, 10, 20, 30 times what it is in Africa or India.
This is a guy that's...
No, that's a new thing. I saw an article last week in AP. The new rich make $4 a day. The new middle class. Gerald, in fact, that's my next piece. And I don't mean to do this. It's horrible, but I'm skipping the network break because I promised to go to calls, but I've got to play this for you because I want you to hear this Leanne McAdoo report from InfoWars Nightly News. And this aired last night or actually, I guess on Tuesday night. No, it was on Monday night. And this is the new austerity. At Whole Foods, they have the magazines. Everywhere it's like, be a hobo, be poor, don't have a job, don't take a bath, live in a garbage can. You've got the Agenda 21 professor, that's his department at UT, the learned helplessness, artificial scarcity thing, saying we all need to learn to live in 200-square-foot apartments so you can pay more in taxes to the political class. That's their plan, is make us so poor so they get more. Obama tells Africans you can't have air conditioning or a car ever, but he's, got a fleet of jets. It's literally their plan to make us poor and controlled. And she went out to do a report on this. So you talk about raise the quality, demand more quality? No, this is about, lower quality is good, but only for us. Talk about a mind game. Here is her report. I want to get your take on it, Gerald, then phone calls.
Talk about trashing the American dream. A Texas professor is going to be living inside of a dumpster for the next year. Dr. Jeff Wilson moved into his new digs on Tuesday in an experiment designed to show students and the world that humans can live on a smaller scale and lessen our environmental footprint. Outfitting the tiny space is step one in this trash can challenge, and the goal is to design the dumpster to be as energy efficient as possible with solar panels and an energy-producing toilet. Wilson jokes he's part of the 1%, saying his space is 1% the living space of the average American home, using just 1% the water, energy, and waste. Professor Dumpster, as he's lovingly referred to by his students, says the idea here is to ultimately show one can have a pretty good life in a dumpster. Oh, and the dumpster diving professor says that he's going to be transforming his trashy home into a capsule hotel by the end of the year. Much like the kind being called home in Japan. Built for salarymen who missed the last train home, tiny capsule hotels are now the homes of last resort for Japan's unemployed. Looking more like a stack of washing machines, they're 6.5-foot by 5-foot rooms that contain a bed, a TV, and a pair of
coffins.
But it seems the professor is just preparing the community for the coming tiny apartments that cities are toying with as an answer to overcrowding and the need for affordable housing. Micro units, apartments of 500 square feet or less, might be Austin's next big building trend.
And that's because they restrict all the other building.
What I'm seeing here is that for those of us who can't afford it, the answer is to just shove us into tiny little boxes like a can of sardines and then just culturally normalize it so we don't realize that we're actually being caged. Recent studies show that living in tiny spaces can actually be sizably hazardous to your health. According to Dal Kopek, Director of Design for Human Health at Boston Architectural College, the space-saving trend of tiny apartments can lead to increased claustrophobia, domestic abuse, and alcoholism. On top of that, researchers believe that children need bigger spaces to flourish. They say children raised in confined spaces can end up becoming withdrawn and have trouble studying and concentrating.
They just need video
Professor
games.
Wilson's dumpster has the stench of Agenda 21 all over it. That's the globalist plan for the 21st century.
It's not what is Agenda 21, it's almost what isn't. It is the blueprint, it is the action plan to inventory and control all land, all water, all plants, all minerals, all construction, all animals, all means of production, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. It is a completely comprehensive plan, it's global, and it's implemented locally.
This map, entitled The Simulated Reserve and Corridor System to Protect Biodiversity, illustrates how the UN's Agenda 21 plan would work in the United States. Under this takeover, all personal property rights would cease to exist. The majority of the map is red zoned, mandated for little to no human use. Yellow zones are buffer zones for highly regulated use. Only in the scant green areas is normal human use allowed. The tiny black dots are the dense megacities where transportation will be tightly controlled, freedom will be restricted, and people will be packed in like sardines living in tiny units no bigger than a jail cell. Wake up, America. Under Agenda 21, in the name of sustainability, we are building our own prisons for the greater good.
All right, that's Leanne McAdoo's excellent report. And again, in their own documents that we've covered here, it's not that it's affordable to have something small and lowering standards. It's they're going to raise taxes to where you only get like 5% of your money. Then you go to these big things owned by Bloomberg and others who's pushing it, and you pay $10,000 a month for a 200-square-foot coffin. I mean, this is diabolical. Gerald Celente, you talk about raising the quality. 50 years ago, McDonald's started putting signs up saying, thank you, as if you were supposed to throw away your own trash. And then now everywhere's dirty. No one picks up the trash, not just McDonald's, anywhere. And it's about training us to be animals. Gerald Celente.
Well, that was a great report, and the message is really terrible. And I love these guys, Professor. You know, get off your trip, Jack, Professor.
He's at Houston Television.
One of these guys that never works a day in his life and has a tenured professor.
But he has a bow tie, and he's going to tell us what to do, though. By the way, it turned out we went down and looked. He doesn't even live in it. It's all a big joke, and he admitted, I don't really stay there. So he's not even living in the dumpster to tell us how great it is. He goes and lives at his house.
Yeah, again, you know, these professors, you know, profess what? And again, they could be total jerks, which a lot of them are, because just to make this clear, if the education system was working in this country, particularly for what people are paying for it, you'd think we'd be in the problems that we are. So you get a clown like this guy, again, who's never worked a day in his life and only shoots his mouth off and tells everybody what to do, what to think, and to give them money so he could never get fired because he's protected.
Well, no, that's how you're going to get more money to pay his job, and the $200,000 degree is to live in a coffin while he lives in a house.
Right. So, again, when you go back to what I just read, that story that broke on Bloomberg today about this guy from Nicole Miller saying that if you're making $35,000 a year, stop complaining. You could be living in China, and if you were making that kind of money, you'd be rich. This guy, you know, this guy should be brought up for some mental...
Oh, yeah, if you want prosperity, you're evil. It's so sexy to be poor, except for the elite are all in red carpets and private jets. Let's talk to Reese in Texas. He has a question for Gerald Celente. Reese, thanks for holding. Go ahead, you're on the air with the Trends Forecaster.
Yes, sir. I had a question about why our country pushes the petrodollar so much.
Well, because that keeps the dollar in charge, Gerald.
Yeah, that was a deal made by Kissinger back in the 70s when they took us off the gold standard. And that was the deal that was made. So that's why they do it with the petrodollar. That bailed out the United States.
And I had one more question for you. Is there a way to get rid of debt that someone basically ripped you off? Like, basically, I recently went to Full Sail Online, and they basically stole $8,000 from me to take core classes that were completely useless.
Yeah,
and they now charge me 34.57% in interest.
Well, they're trying to pass laws to make you pay back student loans, but that's illegal under our Constitution. You can't have indentured servitude or debtor prisons, Gerald.
We don't have any Constitution anymore. What are you talking about?
No, they brought back debtor prisons in Illinois.
Yeah, it is a debtor's prison. I mean, what, these kids are taking them 20 years to pay off their college?
America is a debtor's prison now.
That's what I mean. You know, so there's no Constitution anymore. And you know, I want to mention this, too, about the game being rigged. And so I'm not making this up, or you're not making it up. This is from the Wall Street Journal last Friday. Speed traders get an edge. So that shows you how these people buy information and they get like they're trading in nanoseconds to beat everybody else. And the language is very, very Orwellian. High-frequency traders have been paying to get direct access to market-moving news releases, a practice that can give firms the ability to trade fractions of a second ahead of less, here we go, fleet-footed investors. Less feet-footed investors means you suckers that think that you're getting into the game and playing it. Now, it even gets worse. That's Friday. Today, the article is traders with need for speed turn to laser beams. That's how ridiculous this is, trading in the markets. And then when you put the whole package together, who owns the companies? Well, Heinz, they were bought out by Buffett and that Brazilian group. And then you keep going down the list. All the companies in America, the big ones, many of them, aren't owned by the people or the companies or the stockholders. They're owned by private equity groups. hedge funds. It's a multinational takeover.
Was that New Mexico or something? He's got a question for Gerald Celente. Go ahead.
Hey, Gerald. It's nice to talk to you on air.
Go ahead. What's your question? Thank you.
I was wondering, like, there was a gentleman posted a thing about the scary parallel between the market crash of 29 and the current period. And this guy from the Atlantic, he wrote basically an argument saying that, oh, this is nothing to worry about. And Matthew O'Brien, he's basically saying, oh, you can't worry about these parallels because you got to worry about the double y-axis. You know, I mean, is that really, like, is it something, I know you've been talking about it forever, that they're just propping the whole system up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we had a guest on, Paul Craig Roberts, earlier. It's the same thing. It's rigged, but it still will end up imploding. Gerald?
Yeah, no, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, he's a contributor to the Trends Journal. He knows his stuff. I mean, guy was the assistant treasury secretary under Reagan, and he's one of the, he's a real straight deal, this guy. I mean, he could have sold out like the rest of them, but, he's just interested in the truth, and he has the well-based knowledge of being on the inside and knowing what it is. You have these things called, these ongoing monetary transactions, in the ECB in Europe, and in Germany, they had brought a court case that no, you can't do this. You just can't keep dumping money into the system. And of course, the court backed off on it, and they're letting it happen. So whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Europe, and by the way, what people really should start doing now is to pay attention to what's going on in China, because all this is tying together. The Chinese did the same thing the United States did. They just had a different name for it, and with stimulus. And now some 30 to 40% of the Chinese GDP is built upon borrowing money from shadow banking, which what we used to call in the Bronx loan sharks. And like that person that called in that has that dirty deal from the loan shark that's...
And by the way, now they want the post office to have payday loans.
Exactly. So now what's going on in China, interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going to go up across the board. You're seeing in hot residential markets that were building in 2013 in real estate, they're cooling down. Interest rates are going to go up as this tapering goes up. So going back to the 1929 parallel, they're going to do everything they can to keep pumping money into the system. And so they're going to pretend to taper. They're not going to be able to do it because you can see by the data, it's weak at every level. So they're going to juice it again. And when they do, that's when you're going to see the panic hit. Because that's when you're going to start seeing real currency devaluations. That's when you're going to see gold and silver prices skyrocket. Because they've been artificially holding them back, and they only could do it for so long.
But all the paper's going to be worthless, so you won't even want to sell your gold at that time, except for basic items. Gerald Celente, folks can subscribe to your great hard copy journal or sign up for the Trends Alerts. Invaluable at trendsresearch.com or trendsjournal.com. Thank you for spending so much time with us. I think it's one of our best interviews ever, my friend.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for what you and all your staff do. You're the first site I look at every day.
Well, God bless you. We try to do the best we can. Great crew. Thank you so much, Gerald Celente. All right, I'm sorry to Brenda and John. Call me back tomorrow, and we'll get to you.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show. Hi, I'm InfoWars reporter Leanne McAdoo, and as we age, it is inevitable that we may experience a slowdown in vitality, energy, sexual drive, and overall well-being. The reality is that in addition to the natural aging process, the experts admit that our body is continually being hit with a barrage of what's known as gender-bending chemicals, and that's just for starters. So avoiding these chemicals has always been really important to me, and that's why I was so excited to speak with Dr. Edward Group about what's really going on, specifically to find a solution to the root issue. And what I found was that, as experts around the world are now revealing, core hormone levels in many men and women are dropping, but especially men. Testosterone, growth hormone, DHEA, all are being affected. Introducing InfoWars Life Super Male Vitality, fusing herbs and other essential ingredients to help support your body's natural hormone balance. Developed by Dr. Edward Group and produced at a highly accredited natural products manufacturer, Super Male Vitality is designed to aid the body in ways that may support normal testosterone levels in men. Focus on improving your sexual vitality with the stimulation of libido and sex drive. Deliver hard-hitting benefits while completely free of GMOs, gluten, and harmful ingredients. And it's all made here in the USA and supports our operation. Single men, married men, I recommend that you get a hold of InfoWarsLife.com Super Male Vitality today, and your woman won't be disappointed.